I think in America, we're almost becoming two separate classes of people. Those who believe they've been objectified and disgruntled against in the world because they've never faced any not diversity, no, hardships, you could say, in the world. And then those that have just kind of been through the ringer, and then we look at those who have had so much privilege that they believe they're going through hardships when the rest of us are like, wait, this is an actual problem? And it's just really weird coming from the restaurant work, where some people's biggest issue that they've had to face this week or month is their food order not coming out, or it coming out wrong, or not getting the right drink, or not having the right type of alcohol. And it's like, what a life of privilege, where you going out and having other people serve you aren't serving you rightly or the correct way, nor have the correct products that you demand. And it's just like, you come to a small town and there's literally 4 people running this entire establishment. What really do you expect? I would like to live in their world. It sounds really nice. It sounds super comfortable. And, every once in a while, it would just be real nice just to yell at the peasants, the younglings, and blame them for everything in the world. In your world, at least, that's going wrong. Sometimes I wonder if the elite class, or those doing really well, understand the plights of normal people. Those working construction, building their luxury homes, building luxury apartments, working in restaurants. People work in restaurants they can't afford to go to. People work in theme parks they can't afford to visit. They build homes they can't afford. They make apartments they can't afford. And yet, it seems like there's a class that keeps asking more and more. And I think that if there was an off-ramp for most Americans, like say, I'm going to work 2 jobs plus a gig work job. I'm going to be working 90 hours a week. Basically over 2 full-time jobs. But there's an off-ramp to this. There is a goal in mind, and it will end eventually. And I was talking to someone last night at the restaurant who's doing this. And I was like, is there an off-ramp for you? And he goes, no, I think this is just my new reality. And I just thought, that's kind of where I am too. It's work a job and then work just as much on Uber. I am very fortunate because right now I do have housing at least. So I am able to save some money, even if it's not a lot. I'm able to do so, which is much better than a lot of Americans right now. But there's no goal, and you don't even know how to set that goal. And it's kind of like, in a way, feudalism, where you're just expected to do this now from here to the end of eternity. And if you saw the off-ramp and the goal at the end, you could keep your hopes up and keep your spirit alive. But when you don't have that anymore, and you just I don't know when this is going to end, how much longer do we have of people remaining positive and just willing to put themselves through the meat grinder? Because you could do the meat grinder for, say, a year or two, but you don't want to do that for 6-10 years, the rest of your life. You gotta have the prize at the end of some kind. So when I'm at work, I'm usually like joking around with people, and one of my favorite things is when someone goes, oh, tomorrow on Saturday I have to go to such and such a place. And I say, oh no, it's actually Thursday. And they go, what, really? Man, I thought for sure. And I can completely trick people that it's a day before than what it really is. And I think it's because they just work 7 days a week. And so the weekends don't even mean anything anymore. And your whole conception of days and times don't matter. It's just, what job do I go to today? So, like, having a full weekend off is for sure a thing of the past. And I think that just the way I can convince people that it's not even the right day of the week, I don't know, I think that correlates with how much extra we're working in America these days. I remember growing up, and you'd have your friends that would be working 2 jobs, but it was because they made dumb mistakes, like buying a really fancy car, and then they were just forced to work more. Or maybe they bought a house, which is probably a good decision, but they just had to work harder for a bit to afford that house or the down payment for it, just to kind of get them through a time period where they needed extra money. But these days, you have people living in a travel trailer, in a mobile home park, with a car on its last legs and still working the 90-hour weeks. And they're already living as cheaply as possible. And so it's like, how much lower can a person go from that? But the idea of the American dream is still really strong. But I wonder how long this American dream idea or concept is gonna last before we start looking at countries like China, where they provide housing, a retirement, healthcare, and yes, you might have a crap job, but all your basic needs are taken care of. And also your cities are safe. You know, you have actual borders. So I think that these socialist, communist countries are going to start looking better and better to young people, just because they've already hit rock bottom. So there's no further down to go. And then socialism starts looking pretty damn good, because you're never going to afford anything anyways. I recently watched a video from a YouTuber called Durian Rider, and he was talking about, if you don't like your living circumstances, you don't leave in a month, in a week, in a day. You get a backpack, you grab your bike, and you leave in the next 10 minutes. And I think that there's actually some truth to that. And it doesn't really sound that bad. Where I could fit everything I needed to live in a backpacking backpack, hop on my bike, and just start riding and see what happens. So, rock bottom is kind of a frame of mind that you just have to get used to having. You could always go lower. And if you do have to leave with just a backpack, hopefully you have a bicycle for transportation, and then a cardboard sign to live off the generosity of others. Then I suppose that's what you do. And I'd be alright doing that. It could be like an adventure rather than just life knocking you down too much. Man, these guys drive fairly close. It's kind of taken me years to come to this realization that I don't need a house. I don't need a wife, a girlfriend, or really anything. And it's kind of about just rolling the dice in a way, doing the best you can to stay healthy, exercise, stay clean and representable. But we're in a new world where nothing's really a guarantee. And just about anyone could become homeless. Just like I've been homeless for over 3 years in the past. And so the likelihood of it happening again is very high. The only thing I can do is not partake of drugs and alcohol and things that waste my funds that I do have. Things that if I do buy, I can sell at a later date and recoup some money, versus like a random vacation that I just lose the money and I can never regain. So, like, I think a bicycle is always a good thing to have because it's exercise, transportation, and it's always an asset you could sell to make some money back. And maybe you can make some YouTube videos from it. Being back in Sandpoint, it's kind of a gift and a curse. I come back and I meet a lot of my old friends, and I'm kind of in between that Gen X and Millennial time period. So some of my friends who are Gen Xers, they're like, Jeff, why are you working as a bartender? You were always the straight edge student, never did anything wrong. You went to college. You did everything right. Why are you wasting your time as a bartender? And I'm like, thanks for the compliment. Or I don't know if that's a dig at me. Like I'm wasting my life as a bartender here. And it's like, I don't have any other opportunities. If I could work on the oil rig and make more money, I 100% would do that. I would lay railroad tracks if I could make more money. Granted, it has to be enough money that I didn't have to do that the rest of my life, but for 3-4 years, sure. But I'd have to have the exit ramp in front of me. That's not stuff you could do the rest of your life. And that's even if I could get those jobs, which at my age, now you have mid-20-year-olds, you know, stronger, younger, trying to get those same jobs. So ageism. And so where I am in life, even with having 2 degrees, trying to do what my parents had told me to do, you know, that boomer generation where you can have one job at one company your entire life. I tried that way and it still failed. And so I don't know, like a lot of people say I'm wasting my life, but yet I don't have any other immediate options. And so I have to take what will pay me decently and just get me off of fucking Uber all the time. Even not normal ways of making money like OnlyFans, I would totally do that. And we see it in stories like in Breaking Bad, where the main character is pushed to the limits where he starts selling meth. We're all capable of it. And it's just how bad do things have to get before you resort to doing things that are immoral and unlawful to get by. I don't know, I'm pretty close. If it paid off. But then again, you know, you need that payoff and you need that exit. Whatever, illegal or just hard physical labor. I suppose, however, we can take solace in the fact that none of this really even matters. This body, this world, it's all just basically a simulation anyways. And when we die, hopefully, we wake up like this is a bad dream. And compared to eternity, it's very, very short amount of time to struggle. And in this life, I think we want to have the thought that we matter, from the trillionaire to the homeless person. We like to think that there's a purpose and that we matter in this world. But after we're gone, you know, we're not gonna find out, but everything that we've done probably won't matter. They might write stories about a few of us, but the majority be forgotten, and it'll be like we never existed anyways. So that void that we have and the idea that we need to do things that make a difference, and I don't know, just be remembered, I suppose, or leave that legacy. Nothing can accomplish that unless they write books, I suppose, about you, and they'll have to be basically a fabrication anyways to make it sound like you're that much greater than you were. And so what we do now and how we're living, it doesn't matter. I don't matter. You don't matter. Nobody in the big realm of things in that circle of life. And we're just spirits stuck in this materialistic world that we've been conned into believing is a real thing. And so when we can escape it, that's when we can truly be alive and do things perhaps that do matter.